Epcot's first roller coaster, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, thrills visitors to Walt Disney World with its unique ride vehicles and innovative use of screens. But before this modern ride, another one-of-a-kind attraction stood on the same spot, itself entertaining guests for almost 35 years. Feel the flow, here we go, through the universe of energy.
The 21st century begins October 1, 1982. EPCOT Center, Walt Disney World.
In November 1965, after months of speculation, the secret was out. Disney was coming to Florida. After buying over 27,000 acres of land in secret, the new Disney World was announced by Walt Disney himself. Original plans for the Florida project included a planned community, a so-called experimental prototype city of tomorrow. Epcot was envisaged to be a model city, exploring and showcasing the newest ideas in urban planning and technology. A theme park modelled after the successful Disneyland would be the main draw of Phase 1, and the full property would be master planned with the model city in mind. Walt Disney passed away in December of 1966, and the task of running the company passed to his brother Roy. Under Roy's leadership, the Vacation Kingdom of the World was constructed, and the Magic Kingdom opened on October 1st, 1971. After the success of the Magic Kingdom, the question was, what next? Taking forward Walt's vision of a model city would prove difficult without its creative lead. Instead of a city, the key concepts for Epcot would be realised in a new take on one of Disney's greatest strengths, a theme park. EPCOT Center would be a theme park like no other, taking its concept and design cues from World's Fairs rather than fantasy worlds. The marketing proudly exclaimed that the future would begin October 1st, 1982. Epcot Center will be a park of discovery, creativity, and exploration. A park grounded in historic cultures, yet future-facing. One that invited guests to learn as they were entertained, a very different concept to the nearby Magic Kingdom or the original Disneyland. National pavilions would circle a sparkling lagoon in World Showcase, while the park's icon, Spaceship Earth, was surrounded by the science and engineering topic pavilions of Future World. Pavilions covering the land, sea, communication and transportation surrounded a central core, and in the northeast corner, the Universe of Energy. The site chosen allowed the Universe of Energy pavilion to face south. Its wedge-shaped roof covered with photovoltaic panels. The 2,200 panels covered 2 acres, the Florida sun providing 77 kilowatts of DC current at peak sunlight conditions. This was capable of providing 15% of the power for the ride contained within. Visitors approached the pavilion past a pool and mirrored sculpture, the rippling waters of the pool reflecting, giving the impression of energy in constant motion. Passing the mirrored facade, guests would assemble in a pre-show area featuring a 95-foot screen and 5 projectors. The screen and show were designed by Czech filmmaker Emil Radok, in possibly his most monumental project. The unique screen was composed of 100 revolving triangular panels. Each panel featured 2 white projection surfaces and a matte black surface, and was capable of rotating on demand. The rotation was synchronized with the projected film to create a mesmerising kinetic mosaic of visual patterns, adding depth to the projected images. The pre-show film explored the different forms of energy, how it is neither created nor destroyed, and visitors witnessed visual representations of these, all utilising the rippling screen to full effect. Following the pre-show presentation, guests enter a theatre to be seated in rows. However, this is no ordinary theatre, and it is in fact composed of 6 ride vehicles, each capable of holding 97 passengers. Doors at the end of each row would close, and the full theatre would rotate to face an enormous screen measuring 157 feet wide and 32 feet high. The turntable on which the travelling theatre sat moved effortlessly, floating on a bed of air bearings. The screen showed a 4-minute animated film that explored the creation of fossil fuels. At the time, this was the largest piece of animation ever created, and filled the theatre with colourful renderings of the subject. Upon the film's conclusion, the doors to the theatre slid into the floor, and the 6 ride vehicles moved together as one. Slowly, they entered the dark, damp ambience of the Mesozoic era. The forest surrounded visitors with the sights, sounds, and smells of this prehistoric time. As the sun rose, a family of peaceful brontosauruses could be seen gathering at a pool. The 6 trackless ride vehicles moved individually, in single file, to travel slowly through the main diorama, guided by hidden wires under the floor. Guests passed painstakingly detailed scenes populated with lifelike animatronics. Monstrous millipedes, giant dragonflies, and dinosaurs of every size. Teetering on a rock, a giant Allosaurus and armoured Stegosaurus fought, while close by, a duck-billed Trachodon inspected the vehicle. A rumbling volcano erupted, and guests left the primeval world behind. The travelling theatre then entered the EPCOT Information Center, where 7 video monitors highlighted current and future energy resources around the world. A turntable would again rotate the cars to face 3 giant screens, each one 30 feet high and 75 feet wide. When combined, the screens would curve over 200 degrees, extending well past visitors' peripheral vision. A 12-minute long film explored the toil, sweat, and ingenuity required to obtain energy. Travelling from the Alaskan frontier to the North Sea to the Mid-East, exploring potential energy sources for the near and distant future. Following this film, the theatre moved once again, returning to the original room and facing a large cylindrical screen, where a short computer-animated finale was shown, featuring the upbeat theme song for the pavilion. The laser-like images would be reflected on the mirrored walls of the theatre that had been revealed for the finale. By the 1990s, the original presentations had started to become outdated. Worldwide technology was rapidly progressing, and the educational tone of some of the exhibits was distinctively dry. EPCOT Center had originally operated with its own self-contained culture. No costume characters would greet guests, and Disney character merchandise would not be sold in the shops. This had since changed, and Epcot was evolving, as much synonymous with Disney as the Magic Kingdom. With the characters came a more fun and entertaining slant for the park, and many of the original 1982 rides and attractions were refreshed. Attractions received additional scenes, new narration, or were replaced altogether. By 1996, it was time for the Universe of Energy to be updated, and the original version of the attraction was closed on January 21st to be transformed into Ellen's Energy Crisis, featuring Ellen DeGeneres. World of Motion also closed at a similar time, ready to become Test Track, and by early summer Horizons was not operational due to structural concerns. Unfortunately, the transformation of Universe of Energy had hit filming problems and necessitated a delay in opening. In order to accommodate the summer crowds, the original version of the attraction was reopened in the then renovated pavilion. The version shown in the summer of 1996 featured all the original 1982 films, but changes had to be made. The kinetic mosaic screen had already been removed, and the original film was shown on static screens instead. The Epcot Information Center monitors had also been removed, and a new narration was recorded, removing the reference to them and the adjacent map. Many of the new alterations were already in place, including an animatronic figure of Ellen DeGeneres that had to be obscured by temporary rock work. This version of the attraction was only shown from June to September of 1996. With films complete, the new show Ellen's Energy Crisis opened on the 15th of September at the Universe of Energy. For unknown reasons, the attraction was immediately renamed Ellen's Energy Adventure. This version of the pavilion was decidedly more light-hearted than its predecessor. Featuring completely new films, the attraction used the existing travelling theatre ride vehicles and accompanying primeval diorama. To fit the new entertainment direction of Epcot in the mid-90s, the show would feature television personalities and celebrities. Ellen DeGeneres would star alongside celebrities Bill Nye, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Alex Trebek in a more light-hearted comedic exploration of energy. Guests entered the building the same way and arrived in the pre-show room for an 8-minute film. Gone were the triangular kinetic mosaic panels, and in their place 5 static screens. Ellen would fall asleep and dream she was in an episode of the game show Jeopardy, where all the questions related to energy, which she knew nothing about. Falling way behind fellow contestant, her old college roommate, Judy Peterson, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. Bill Nye would step in and offer to teach her about energy during the commercial break. At this point, guests would walk through the doors of Theatre 1 and be seated in one of the 6 travelling cars from the original version. Once the doors of the ride vehicles had closed, the turntable rotated, and guests faced the large screen to witness the Big Bang in a 5-minute CGI and live-action film. Bill Nye and Ellen would find themselves in a prehistoric jungle for a quick lesson about the formation of fossil fuels, before the ride vehicles followed them and slowly progressed into the diorama. The diorama was largely the same, with some new animatronics, a new musical score, and brighter colours on the dinosaurs. The largest difference was the addition of an Ellen animatronic, stood in a tidal pool and fighting an Elasmosaurus. After leaving the diorama, the ride vehicles progressed into Theatre 2. The monitors from the original version were gone and replaced with a radio tower. Guests listened to KNRG as the 6 vehicles assembled. The wraparound screens then showed a 14-minute film exploring current and future energy sources across the United States. At the conclusion of this film, the screen rose, and the ride vehicles returned to Theatre 1 for a 3-minute finale film on a television-shaped screen. Ellen used her newfound knowledge to come from behind to beat Judy in Final Jeopardy. Ellen's energy adventure outlived its predecessor and entertained millions of guests, but there was hardly ever a queue for the Eras of Epcot pavilion in this quiet corner of Epcot. The lack of a line was possibly due to the travelling theatre having such a large capacity. Almost 2,000 guests per hour could ride on Sunshine through the pavilion. The ride did receive a slight refurbishment in 2008, with an updated computer system and a refreshed interior. However, as of November 2014, the Ellen animatronic had stopped working, and was subsequently removed from the show, replaced by some pteranodons. The 2010s brought a similar directional change to Epcot as the 1990s had. Characters had begun to be folded into pavilions, headlining the new offerings, and more thrilling attractions had been debuted. A slow-moving theatre attraction, featuring an outdated view on energy, didn't resonate with guests the same way it had over 20 years earlier. At the D23 Expo in 2017, it was announced that a Guardians of the Galaxy ride would replace Universe of Energy, and Ellen's Energy Adventure closed on August 13th the same year. The last ever ride breaking down, and guests being evacuated in the Primeval World diorama. Construction began in late August 2017, the same month the pavilion had closed. At the D23 Expo in Japan the following year, it was confirmed the ride would be one of the longest enclosed roller coasters in the world and would open in 2021. The installation of the attraction necessitated a new massive show building backstage at Epcot, behind the Universe of Energy pavilion. Cast members from the Guardians of the Galaxy film would reprise their role for segments of the attraction, which would utilise video screens. Roller coaster trains were revealed to feature unique cars with controlled spinning. Opening was delayed until spring 2022, and upon its debut, visitors were welcomed to the Wonders of Xandar pavilion. Through a series of events, they find themselves boarding a shuttle in an intergalactic battle across space and time. The roller coaster mostly takes place in the newly constructed show building, but the queue and load platform utilise the original Universe of Energy pavilion. The ride queue occupies the area previously used for the pre-show film, and the new pre-show is located where Theatre 2 once stood. Guests then board the ride vehicles in the spot once home to Theatre 1, before ascending into space in the area that was the diorama. Epcot's first roller coaster reaches speeds of 60 miles per hour, travelling forwards and backwards along its 5,500 foot circuit. Featuring screens, physical props, and a retro soundtrack, the ride has been positively received by Epcot visitors. Universe of Energy broke new ground when it debuted in 1982. Before Cosmic Rewind did the same 40 years later. Two rides from two different eras of Epcot, both combining one-of-a-kind ride vehicles and innovative use of screens to tell a compelling story.